Let's just give it a minute for people to join. Am I audible, Jitin?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I just sent messages in the group. We'll just get started soon. Okay, so let's get started. So, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining. So, again, we are back with the new session: how to get started on cloud technologies. Before we get started, let me just give an introduction. So, Canada IT Club is one of the most professional groups here based out of Canada for IT professionals. Our main objective is to build professional network and share information. So, a lot of people have hard time building their network here in Canada. So, we try to use these forums to meet and greet other IT professionals from the same field. So we have recently launched a job board also. It's called canadaitclub.ca. So we try to share the job post by various recruiters in Canada. We try to collate all the postings from LinkedIn and put it in the job board. This is actually helping the job seekers to use that canadaitclub.ca as a single point of job search. It is saving them a lot of efforts. We also have some few WhatsApp groups where we try to share the IT jobs in Canada. And as part of our Canada IT Club initiative, we have been doing these podcasts for the past 3-4 years. This has helped a lot of hundreds and thousands of IT professionals to meet uh, new people and build their professional network here in Canada. So we invite industry experts as a guest in this podcast, and we it's an open forum. Everybody can ask questions, and he or she, whoever the guest is, will try to answer as much as they can. So today we have Jitin, who is working as an engineering manager in one of the companies here in Canada. So last time when I invited Jitin for a cloud session, it was supposed to be just a 1 hour session, but by the way he presented and because of the information, the valuable information he was sharing, that actually 1 hour session actually got ended, like extended to three and a half hour session, right? That was one of the beautiful sessions where a lot of these audience, there was 100% retention for the audience. It was very valuable information he was sharing related to the cloud. So that is one of the reasons why I invited Jitin to my podcast. And thank you, Jitin, for accepting the invite and agree to share valuable information, which might be helpful for a lot of the IT professionals here. So, Jitin, we can get started. But before we get started, can you just give a quick introduction about
Yes.
yourself?
Yeah. Thank you, Sudhir. Thank you for the opportunity. Um, so, my name is Jitin. I'm working as an engineering manager in one of the travel sector companies in Canada. And I have around 10 years of experience, 10 plus years of experience, and around almost 8 years working related to cloud technologies. So, that's about me. I just want to give some heads up before starting the session. So this session is designed in in the anticipation of like we designed the session for people who are new to the cloud or who has not much experience in the cloud, or who the people who are planning to upskill to cloud, or maybe in the cloud but want to upskill further skills in the cloud. So if you are very well experienced in the cloud, I'm not sure whether the session will be useful for you, but yeah, anyway, let's start. So
Yeah. So before Jitin, just a couple of disclaimers. Whatever we are discussing in these session, it's purely for informative sessions, information purpose. We are not representing our organizations by any way. So just keep that in mind. And second thing is, feel free to ask questions. We will try to, or Jitin will try to answer the uh, answer the queries what we receive. Okay. So yeah, Jitin, please go ahead.
yeah, sure. So let's start by saying what's a cloud, right? So most of you might be knowing what's a cloud. So cloud is nothing but uh, somebody else is hosting the services for us, and we are just uh, getting what we are asking for. For example, for every software to run, it need a infrastructure, it need a operating system, it need all the other pieces, servers and networks and other things. So if someone else is doing that for us, then we call it as a cloud. That's it. So it's not, it's a way of doing things, and I won't say um, it's a groundbreaking technology or anything. We are just doing it in a different way. But because of the how efficient it is, it become very popular, and most of the companies are now using cloud. And there are cloud service providers like AWS, GCP, Azure, where you can choose what level of customization you want. For example, if you want AWS to manage everything, including the machines in networking, everything, including the application server you're running, you can choose that. Or if you want just the infrastructure to be taken care, you will spin your own virtual machines, you will install your own application software, you will manage those, then you can choose that as well. So the level of how much the service provider has to do can be configured by you. So that's the basic concept of cloud, and most of the companies are now either in cloud or moving to cloud, or might be partially in the cloud and want to move fully into the cloud. And within the cloud itself, there are different ways of being in the cloud. So just because you use some part of a cloud does not mean that you are actually using the full potential of the cloud. So there are architectures that are designed specifically for cloud, so called cloud native architecture. So there might be companies who have moved to the cloud but might not have moved to the cloud native architecture. So the company, so maybe they are in the journey of, they move to the cloud, now they might be in the journey of moving to best practices in the cloud, which we call generally as cloud native architecture. So there are different parts of the journey in the cloud. So as a developer or as a professional or an engineer, so when we say I want to be a cloud engineer or I am a cloud engineer, what does it mean? So let's first consider that. So when we say, hey, I am a cloud engineer, it's a very very vague term. Or if I want to become a cloud engineer, it's a very very vague term. For example, let's say you are filling a mortgage application in bank. So you want to take a mortgage, so they will be asking what's your profession. So you will be filling in mostly I'm a software engineer, right? So that's they don't have different options of filling in different flavors of software engineer. So they might have an option IT professional or software engineer, right? But if someone is looking at your application and read your profession as software engineer, can he guess what you are doing on a day-to-day basis? I highly doubt so, because you write software engineer as your profession, but you might be a front-end engineer, or maybe a back-end engineer, maybe a full-stack engineer, data engineer, machine learning engineer, mobile app developer, or embedded system developer, or maybe a security engineer, DevOps engineer, QA engineer, site reliability engineer. So it can be anything, right? So just by seeing the term software engineer does not tell you much about what the person is doing on a day-to-day basis. But if you are writing a resume, you won't just say, okay, I'm a software engineer, yeah, hire me, that's it, right? No, you will be as specific as possible, right? What are the roles and responsibilities you are doing, whether you're a backend engineer, even if you are a backend engineer, what technologies you work, Java, Python, Go, whatever, right? And if it's a front-end engineer, what type of platforms you work on, what. So maybe you work on a React framework, you work on Angular, whatever, right? So you will be more specific about that. So similarly, when someone say I want to be a cloud engineer or I am a cloud engineer, that's a very vague term that won't tell what exactly that person does on a day-to-day basis. So we will examine different versions of cloud engineer. There are so many flavors of cloud engineer, and we will see on a typical company. Most of the companies has these divisions, but depending on the company, maybe a startup has a different divisions of how different cloud engineers do their work. But anyway, we will see different types of cloud engineer roles. But I just want to call it that just by saying cloud engineer does not make much sense, or does not give much information. So again, the second question is, let's say you somehow understood what is a cloud engineer and what are the roles in that, right? So the next question will be, how can I become a cloud engineer? So that question is also very tricky, because unless and until you give more details, like what type of cloud engineer you want to become, the answer will be different. So it's like someone is saying, you know what, I want to change my profession. Now I want to become a driver. Can you tell me what should I do next, or what are the steps? So then my next question is like, what type of driver you want to be? Do you want to be a truck driver? Do you want to be Uber driver, or maybe a bus driver, a school bus driver, or public transport driver, delivery driver, courier driver, or maybe a DoorDash driver, or maybe, do you want to be a Formula One driver? So based on what type of driver you want to be, the steps you have to do, the skills you have to learn, will be different. And sometimes, it might not be a good fit for your role. For example, if you want to be a Formula One driver, yes, you can wish you to be a Formula One driver. There are some things, some high level requirements that you have to meet, right? Like in terms of fitness or whatever, right? So, similarly, when you say what should I do to be a cloud engineer, it depends on what type of cloud engineer you are planning to be. So that is the basic fundamental discussion of what is a cloud engineer and how to become a cloud engineer. Now I will go and discuss about some common flavors of cloud engineer that we see in the software ecosystem. These all of these people can call themselves a cloud engineer, but let's see one by one. So one type of cloud engineer is like the application developers. So the application developers who write code, like who might be using a Java or maybe Python or whatever, so they are focused on the application development. For example, I work in a travel industry, so my main goal in my day-to-day work involves developing new features for the travel platform. So maybe if it's a flight booking, like okay, let's see how to enable seat booking on top of flight. So what are the things, what are the APIs I have to call, how to build this API, how to integrate this API, what are the code I have to write, what are the test cases, what are the dependencies. So that is the application developer. That is, when people say I'm a software developer, normally people know that this is an application development. So an application developer who is working in a cloud environment can be called a cloud engineer. So, or we can be more specific, saying that I'm a cloud developer, meaning I mainly develop the application, but the environment I work is mainly based on the cloud. So that role is the cloud application developer. Now let's say I completed the development. So my main focus or skill sets, what I should have is basically I should be knowing, I should know one programming language for sure. And then on top of that, my focus is design patterns, algorithms, data structures, and so on and so forth. So if you want to be an application developer, that are the main skills that you want. But that does not mean that, so if you that is the main set of skills you need, but on top you should know some basics about the cloud, because that will help you in designing things, debugging things, and finding out things. But just because, so if you want to be an application developer, let's say you have so many certifications on cloud, but your language skills are very bad, or maybe you know the language, you have so many certifications in the cloud, but your data structures are very bad. You don't know how to solve a lead code easy problem, or you don't know the good coding practice, design patterns, you don't know those kind of things, then it won't help you. No matter how many certifications you have, because the skill set expected from a cloud application developers are mainly design patterns, coding, and all those applications developer specific goals. On top, if you have cloud skill, yes, it's a cherry on top. But many companies, when recruiting, they won't reject a candidate just because they don't have any cloud exposure. If you can exhibit that you are very good with algorithms and designing and data structures, you might get a chance to. So that's not something that, oh, you will be rejected. No, but obviously when there are multiple candidates, and all the candidates exhibit very good data structure and algorithm skills, obviously the people who have worked on a similar cloud environment and have certification will get an edge. That is something common sense. So next set of cloud engineers are someone who facilitate the CI/CD pipeline. So most of the companies, they are called pipeline engineers, or it's a like they are nothing but the DevOps engineers. So in some companies, The DevOps engineers are a group, larger group. They will be divided into what this subset should focus on. Maybe a subset of DevOps engineer might be focusing on building the CI/CD pipeline, or another subset might be focusing on something else. So on and so forth. So these engineers, their main focus is they don't care about the application logic. What they care about, whatever application the application developer is building, how to efficiently integrate that to the code base, how to continuously integrate, and how to continuously deploy that efficiently. So they will build all the CI/CD pipelines. So what is CI/CD? It's simple, like most of you might already know. In case if you don't know, CI/CD is nothing but the continuous integration, nothing but you're writing, a lot of people are writing the code. There will be a main code base which is source control in maybe GitHub or any of the source repository system. So we need to have an efficient way to continuously, like that, if there are 100 developers writing different features, we should be effectively merging these changes without breaking the main branch, which actually works. So if there should be a proper system to when developer 1 is trying to merge and developer 3 is trying to merge, developer 10 is trying to merge, it should be, the system should make sure that whatever code getting merged is a working version. It won't make the main developed version unstable. So the continuous integration pipelines take care of, automatically testing things, code analysis, static code analysis, security code analysis, and all those things. So testing coverage and all those automation test suites are run, and make sure that the whatever code is merged is having a good quality. So when I say good quality, we want to focus on uh, whether the functionalities are working, whether the new functionalities the developer pushed is working, whether maybe the new functionalities are working, but the developer might have might have regressed an existing functionality. So what about that? So that will be checked. And maybe the developer, the existing functionality works great, the developer did not break any existing functionality, the new functionality is also working, but the developer has not written proper test cases, so the coverage is very bad. So we have to flag it. Or maybe the developer used a third party library which is flagged by the security team. So there might be dedicated team for the security. Sometimes these people are called DevSecOps, where these are DevOps, but more focused on making sure that the security aspect is being handled. So one of there might be so many ways to enforce the security. One of the ways is, so there is a principle called shift left, meaning you have to do as many things as early in the pipeline. So as part of that, they will be checking even before the code is merged. They will be checking for, okay, is the code using any non vulnerable third party library versions, or all those things. So if yes, then the continuous integration team will make sure that the code is not allowed to get merged. So that is a continuous integration. And then so it involves, once the code is merged, so it has to be released. So there has to be packaging, there has to be proper packaging has to be done. Maybe we're using something like a Docker, and then we have to deploy it. So the deploy pipeline also has to be there. So the deploy will take care of the packaged application will be deployed to an infrastructure. So there will be some infrastructure as a code that is being triggered, where the infrastructure is created. Maybe you are deploying not on the main QA environment, maybe on a track where only your changes are specifically going to a separate system where you can test it without disturbing the existing environment. So this is a CD pipeline. So some teams will be focusing on building the CD pipeline. So in some organization is called pipeline team. Their main focus is build this pipeline effectively and efficiently, and improve this pipeline. So they will make sure that a developer, once finished the development, they are having all the tools and processes to make sure that they are able to deploy fast, but deploy a quality code. So the DevOps will make sure that this pipeline team will make sure that they are having the tools, and also having all the checks in place, safety guardrails, to merge the code, but make sure that it's a quality code, and deploy it successfully and fast. So that is one set of pipeline. So these are also called DevOps, but some teams might say that so they are focusing on pipeline engineering. So the other type of cloud engineer is called SRO. There are SRE and SRO. So let's first talk about SRE. So SRE is mainly the site reliability engineering. So their main focus is on the reliability of the system. So they will be always checking how reliable the system is. So if you are offering any service, whether it's flight booking or maybe you are offering a bank, maybe a bank or whatever, availability is very important, right? So if your bank is down 1 hour per day, then nobody will continue on that bank. So someone should make sure that it's available, highly available, right? So and it's reliable as well. So the functionality should work. The app might open, app is up, but the functionality is not working. That is also not acceptable, right? So site reliability team are a group of engineers who focus on the reliability of the system. So okay, just going back, so if you are a DevOps person in the cloud, you need some skills. For example, the set of skills that you need as a DevOps, if you are want to be a DevOps engineer, then you should be knowing basics about Linux, a network. After all, cloud is nothing but a network or Linux system. So you should be knowing basics of Linux, shell scripting, networking, and then some container, maybe a Docker, and then container orchestrator, maybe Kubernetes, and then infrastructure as a code, like a cloud formation or Terraform, and then configuration management, maybe Ansible or Chef or Puppet, and then the security tools. And then if you know a Python or any other Python or Go or shell scripting, it will be very helpful, because most of the times you need to configure these things. So if you know Python, then you will be able to do most of those things. And then you should be familiar with most of the tools. There are so many tools available which does the CI/CD, maybe Jenkins, GitHub Action, Harness, Argo CD, CodeFresh, whatever. So based on what the organization uses, you have to be familiar with the tool and you have to facilitate that. So this
So
is,
Jitin,
yeah.
Jitin, sorry. Before we get into the details of that,
Mhm.
right? A couple of things. One is, in case anybody has any question, feel free to come to the speaker panel, ask the question. But before we get into the details of it, Jitin, I just wanted to check with you. So before we, so when you mention about these roles, right? You just have to, okay. Let me take one step back. Today we are going to discuss few things. One is, what are the skill set which is required for people to get into cloud. Second, how to get started, like where you can find materials, how to learn, and all those things. Then third, from the job search perspective, these things will be discussed in the second part. But first part, Jitin is explaining about how the or what are the different areas of cloud. But Jitin, when you are explaining, just help us understand what are the skill set which is required for each of these roles.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
thank you, thanks.
Okay. So developer, I already covered what are the skill set needed for the developer role,
Yep.
and DevOps I already covered. So next is the site reliability engineer. So site reliability engineer, many people will say it is nothing but a DevOps only, which is true. But the focus of the site reliability engineer is a little bit different. The skill set is mainly like what are the skill set you needed for a DevOps, and what are the skill set needed for site reliability engineer are almost same. Might be there will be few differences here and there, but their role, the focus will be different. So the site reliability engineer, as I explained earlier, their main task is to make sure that the system is available and stable. So what they will do is how to make sure that the system is available and stable. So they will always think about what are the things that can break the system, right? So they will always make sure. So SRE is a proactive team, meaning they will anticipate what are the things that can break the system, and they will do everything necessary to make sure that those things are handled. For example, one of the problems that can happen is maybe one region of the cloud can go down, right? If you are on AWS or GCP or whatever, it might be possible that the provider can go down. So the SRE will make sure that even if one region goes down, the entire application is available. So it is a, again, when we are designing a system, the cloud architect who is designing the system, or the engineers, will make sure that it is deployed across multiple regions, it's highly available. So that's a different thing. But my point is, let's say we deployed a highly available system, but someone has to make sure that even if one region goes down, the system is available, or if the traffic increase, still the system is available, right? So how the SRE will make sure that all these things are already premeditated and tested. For example, SRE might do load testing, so it will increase the load to a point to test more than the normal load. On some days, it will be an announce activity. You'll say, okay, today we'll be doing a load test, maybe deploys are freeze, and then they will make sure that high load is simulated and the system withstand that. Or maybe they will simulate a region going down, So this is called disaster testing. So many so even if a region goes down, the application should work as expected. And sometimes, they test the capacity. So these are the activities they do, and on top they proactively write monitoring scripts and monitoring in place. For example, many organization, when we provision an application for maybe for flight booking or whatever, the SRE will make sure that the moment we cut the service, they will put in some alerts. For example, they will if the SLA is service level agreement, or if the expected behavior of that application is it should be available, let's say 90% of the time, or maybe 99.9, or whatever nines you want to be available, SRE will put in maybe an alert saying that, okay, if this application is down more than so many seconds or so many minutes based on your expectation of SLA, alert, send an alert. Or maybe if the response time is degrading, send an alert. Or if there are so many ports getting restarted, send an alert. So these are the things that SRE will do proactively, and they always monitor health of the system. But there is a difference between application alert and site SRE level alerts. So for example, if I have a flight booking application, and SRE will be focusing on, okay, the machine in which this is hosted, or the Kubernetes cluster in which this is hosted, is it healthy, is it available, is it still online, and then what is the response time, and how many errors are there, like is there any memory leak. So SRE will be focusing on that, but application developer will be more focused on the actual functionality. For example, there is a flight booking application, assume that, and then let's say there is no problem with the port, there is no increase in errors, there is no increase in latency, so SRE will be happy. But ultimately, when you search for a flight, it's saying no flight available, but no error is throwing, it's showing a nice message that no flight is available. Then that's a different problem. SREs are not focusing on that. That's an application level problem. The application is up and running, working perfectly, but the logic is not executed. So that is an application level alert. So the application developers will be focusing on that. So they will write an alert on top saying that if there are n number of no flight available error or message coming, then something is wrong. So SREs will focus on the health of the system, while application developer will focus on the actual logic that is run by the application. So this is what SRE do, site reliability engineer, and most of the skill set needed for DevOps is needed for SRE as well. So the next role is SRO, which is the operation and monitoring. So what does SRO do is they are mainly on the monitoring side of the application. For example, they like so you might be an operation manager, system administrator, IT support engineer, DB admin, but all those roles, you can say you are mainly on the operation side focusing on the total health, including the they might have some alerts in place to note which is maybe created by SRE, but SRO monitors that. So SRO focus on the operation. So if something is wrong, the SRO or the NOC team or whatever team your organization calls will engage first, will try to find out where the issue is, will engage all the stakeholders, and they might do some primitive debugging, and then we'll engage maybe SRE, maybe application developer, and so on and so forth. So this is the another area, and there are another areas of the cloud. For example, you can be a cloud data, because most of the application will emit a lot of data. There should be data team who's handling that. So if you are working in cloud and you are handling that data, then you are a cloud developer, but with the data team. And then you can be a machine learning engineer as well. So these are the different flavors of the cloud engineers. So based on what you want to become, the skill sets are different, and the certification or whatever you are looking will be different. So that conclude my initial introduction. So then
That's a great thing. Great thing. It's a lot of information to consume. I understand that there's a lot of information. This is getting recorded actually in YouTube, so you can go back and watch it in case you are looking for some specific things. Now we can start taking the questions. So in case anybody has any questions, you can come to the speaker panel, ask the questions. But Jitin, can you help us understand how to get started with this, or how did you start? How did your career move into the cloud, or how to get started? That is what most other people are looking for.
Yeah, so I was a developer. My initial couple of years, I was not part of working in any cloud. So I was focusing on my developing skills, algorithm, data structure, and other things. When I got a chance to work in an organization where they were migrating to the cloud, I learned the things like, for example, Kubernetes, Docker, how the cloud networking works, and all those things I learned. But again, as I told earlier, that is not the primary focus. Even today, even if I go for a new role in a new company, my I will be tested on system design or data sets and other things. So knowledge of the cloud helps. If I want to take any so if I want to enhance the knowledge, what I can do is I can take developer based certification. For example, all the cloud will offer developer. AWS will offer AWS developer certification. So I can take a developer certification that is focusing on, as a developer, your cloud knowledge. So if I want to go to an architect eventually, then I can focus on taking an architect certificates. So, and if you are a DevOps person, you can, instead of, before you start with any of the certifications, you can start with learning basics like Linux networking, and then Docker, Kubernetes, or the concept of Docker or container orchestration, and then infrastructure as a code, Terraform, and all those things. And then after you learn the concept, then what you can do is you can go progress towards any certification. There are DevOps certifications available in AWS or GCP or whatever framework or whatever platform you want to you practice. You can take a corresponding certification based on that.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'll come back to the question, but yeah, before that, let's check with Jansi. Jansi.
Good evening, Sudhir. Good evening, Jitin. Thank you so much for the session. And actually, it has given me a little bit of perspective about how cloud works. And maybe from here, I can start off. So, my question is that I have an experience in banking for almost a decade, and then I moved as a business analyst. So, I'm more or less of a technical guy. So, if someone like my profile would like to move into, into cloud technologies, what would be the roadmap? What should I be focusing on, or how do I upskill?
Yeah, again, taking the same example, right? You want to become a driver. What type of driver? So now I explain, there are developer roles, there are DevOps role, there are SRE roles, SRE roles. So depending on where you want to be, then you have to choose what you
Choose.
become. So if you are not at all comfortable with coding, I
Correct.
will say developer might not be a good selection for you if you don't enjoy coding. If you don't want to see, some people enjoy coding, some people
Correct.
don't enjoy it much. They might have other strength, right? So they might be
Correct.
very strong in other areas. So depending on your taste and your strength. So if you don't enjoy coding, if you think that your strength is something else, then becoming a cloud developer might not be the best choice for you. You can look into other areas. But having said that, even if you are a DevOps person, you need to know some kind of coding. That will otherwise it will be like, okay, I will be a QA, but I will only do manual testing. I won't do any automation testing. Then it will be very difficult to survey. There might be some companies where they hire you even if you do only manual testing, but it will be difficult going forward because the role is evolving, the expectation is evolving. So even if you are going to a DevOps role, the coding skills will help you. But there is a fundamental difference. If you are writing some code as a developer, as an application developer, your code will be highly reviewed. Meaning, you are expected to follow the very high standards of coding. You should follow the solid principles, reusable design patterns, object orientedness, data structures, algorithm. But if you are a DevOps and writing a code, the more focus is getting the job done. Nobody will be looking at your code appreciating how beautiful it is written or what are the data structures you use. The focus is different. So maybe something that you can look into. So that does not mean that, see, there are DevOps who write better code than actual application developers, and there are application developers who might know more DevOps. So it depends on the person, right? So, but having said that, DevOps, the coding skills are not the actual highest skill looking in a DevOps person. You should be able to do that. You should be able to code. You should be able to configure that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Jitin, I was looking at a couple of opportunities in general when I'm looking out for opportunities. See, many banks are also trying to adopt cloud technologies. They are trying to migrate from the existing ones into the cloud. So, in that kind of a scenario, how does my BA role come into the picture, or how can I contribute for that kind of projects?
Okay, so see, if you are a business analyst and you want to
Hmm.
continue as a business analyst, then you don't
Right.
have to cross train you as a developer or DevOps, right? If you want to
Correct.
continue as a business analyst, what will help you, even if your organization is moving into cloud, there are certifications like AWS Cloud Practitioner or if it is
Okay.
in in Google Cloud, there are like very cloud engineer certification. These are certifications where you will learn the foundations. So you won't
Correct.
be able to create a pipeline, but you won't be able to create an application. But this will help you, because every see, imagine being in a society where you don't know the language, right? So you are
Correct.
working in a so you so
Silos, right?
yeah, right. So if your entire team is working on cloud, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
a good idea. If you want to continue as a business analyst, just get
Mm-hmm.
the AWS cloud practitioner or equivalent certification in whatever cloud your team is working on, the basic entry level. That
Correct.
you can easily learn. You can there are so many self tutorial. You can take the certification, then you will be familiar with all these terms and vocabularies. So then so when you work with the team, you won't feel like, okay, they are talking a different language.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least we will understand the
Yes,
lingo that is
yes,
being
yes, yes.
discussed. Got it. Okay. Thank you so much, Chetan. That helps.
Thank you.
Appreciate
See,
it. Bye.
thank you. Yeah, thanks, Jansi. See, I got Jitin very. It was very tough to invite Jitin. It took me around 1 month rescheduling these dates, so I'm not going to let him leave before he answer all my questions. So, Jitin, the next question, the most popular question in the cloud, which we receive, what should I start? GCP, AWS, or Azure? What's your take on it?
Oh, it's like asking, should I buy a Honda or Toyota? I buy the
Yes.
I bought neither two of them. So it depends. See, here is the thing, right? AWS is the first mover into the cloud because of the first mover, and it's an excellent platform. So there are so many companies working on AWS, but there are so many companies who are already on the Microsoft product. So especially the government, and like there are so many applications which were using Microsoft. They are now in Azure cloud, and GCP is like obviously it's from Google, so it is backed by Google. So it you won't go wrong. Whatever, so instead of thinking about which one to start, you pick whatever you think. You can start with AWS or start with GCP, does not matter. Once you learn one thing, right, adapting to the next thing is very very easy. For example, let me tell you. So I am a migrant to Canada. I migrated from India, so I learned my driving there. I drive there for 10 plus year, or maybe more than that, yeah, before I migrate. So when I came here, there are a lot of things different. So India lives on India, the steering wheel is on the right, here it is on left. We drive on the left side, there here we drive on the right side, there we drive manual, here we drive automatic. And here the rules are different. Here there is a four-way stop, there is no concept of four-way stop back in, but still you will be adopt a lot of things from your driving experience here, right? So it will be even though it took some time to understand the rules here, my autopilot to go with the rules, it took some time, but my experience helped. So similarly, if you are a GCP developer, if you have, say, let's say 6x certification on GCP, let's say a role opened on AWS, I don't think they will reject you just because you don't have a AWS experience. If that is the case, Microsoft will never get any developer, right? Most of the developers Microsoft is recruiting never have written any code in .NET. But they are taking Java developers because they know it's just a matter of time. The moment you know the programming principles, learning .NET or C Sharp from Java is not a big deal. So that's why. So don't think much. So whatever available for you, whatever resources available, maybe your fund is in GCP. Take GCP because you will get some help. Your company is planning to move to AWS. Okay, start AWS because you have an opportunity to test your knowledge. So that's the answer.
Thank you, Jitin. That is one of the most popularly asked questions. Where should I start, or what should I start? So before we
Yeah,
move to the next
I would
question,
like to
yeah,
add
sure,
one.
Jitin.
I would like to add one more thing.
Yes, please.
Sometimes there are some kind of promotions. For example, if you are part of an organization, maybe they will announce, okay, if you are this organization, you know what, we will give you so many cloud credit. Or maybe your organization has some, tie-ups with the with that particular cloud. Or maybe even if outside organization, Google Cloud will say, okay, you know what, this month we are giving so many learning credits to the. So look for those. So those things might change, right? So okay, learning theory is one thing, but having an environment to practice is a different thing. But there are other platforms available which will actually give you a hands-on experience. So there are so many platforms. If you Google, there are paid courses, paid lab environments. But so look for all those opportunity. Maybe someone can share with you on those lab environments. Maybe it's useful. So just look for opportunity. Don't think too much on what to learn. Whatever you have opportunity, learn that. That's it.
Thank you, Jitin. That makes sense. Just a follow up question to that, Jitin. How much time will it take for a normal a developer? Imagine there is a developer, he wants to upgrade to cloud. How much time he can expect? He's working. He just want to learn this parallelly. How much time are we looking into?
Okay, so if you are already a developer but never got a chance to work on any of the cloud related things we discussed, I think if you invest 1 hour per day, within 1 month, you will learn most of the things in theory. Hands on is a different thing. So 1 hour, so 30 hours of solid undivided attention is good enough, because see, you don't have to pay anything. Even if you are maybe commuting back, there are so many videos available in YouTube. There are so you all you have to do is see. Here is the problem, right? Sometime back when we were, like 20 years, 30 years back, the problem is there will be one library, and there will be if you want to learn about something, there is no internet. Even if the library will have only one book about that topic, right? So you will actually enroll in a waiting list. I want that book, and you will get that book maybe only for 7 days, and then within 7 days you have to return. So you will wait for the book. Once you get the book, you read it within the 7 days undivided. You will make sure that any other things are on pause, because you have only for 7 days, and you will learn it. But now the problem is, so there the problem is lack of resources. Now the problem is the exactly opposite. You have so many resources that people are confused on where to start with, to how to start, like whether I should take this course, that platform, or this YouTuber, that YouTuber, or maybe this paid course. And you can watch it anytime. There is no time restriction. So because of this, people actually are confused. So what I'm saying is, just watch, maybe spend like 3 or 4 days to explore. Once you pick one good course, or one good book, or one good YouTuber, stick to that person and then complete it. Spend 30 quality hours. I think 30 quality hours will be more than enough for you to understand the basic concepts.
Thanks, Jitin. Thank you. So let's move to Sandeep. Sandeep.
Hello, hi Sudhir, hi Jitin. Thank you so much for organizing this. Actually, Jitin has answered my question. I was going to ask about resources. So the cloud space and DevOps space, basically, it's fast evolving, right? With lot of tools getting introduced every day. Do you have any suggestions to, for any resources to follow, and to get to be up to date on these?
Okay, so here is my suggestion, right? So if you are new to these technologies, right, if you enroll in a course of 50 hours, there are high chances that you won't finish it, or you might procrastinate, depending on how you I do that most of the time, procrastinate. So what I do is, if I want to learn something new, right, this is what I do. I mean, there is no right answer, right? I am just saying what helped me. It might not help you. It depends on your personality. So if I want to learn something new, right, here is what I will do. I will first watch a 2 minute YouTube video of what is this. Or maybe let's say Kubernetes. What is Kubernetes? I will watch a 2 minute video. So after the 2 minute video, I have a maybe 100,000 feet view of what is Kubernetes. Then I will watch a 5 minute video. So I will dive one more level down, right? Then I will watch a 10 minute video. Maybe you have, see, it will take some time to find some good YouTube video, or maybe a good course or something. But here is how I start. Then I will go and I will read some like Medium article. So there is a, you all will be familiar with Medium, right? So I will say, okay, what is Kubernetes? I will read a Medium article, 3 minute reading, 5 minute reading, right? Then I will read a bigger article. So I will go in multiple layers. So then I will have an idea about what is this, where is it used, why should I learn, what is the benefit of learning, and how the architecture. Then I might choose a very good high quality paid course, or maybe I find a YouTuber that is explaining it in 2 hours or 3 hours, or maybe I will buy a book and read it. So this is what I do. If you find it effective, you can do it. So I will go in multiple layers, so that I will have some coverage, and then go in depth.
Yeah, I just wanted to add.
Sure, Jitin.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Sandeep. I just wanted to add on top of that. A lot of people ask me, what are the best YouTube channels for so and so trainings, QA or Scrum, Agile, and all. So, I usually tell them the same thing. So basically, every trainer, the way the train is different, right? You have to go with the most comfortable person. The comfortable trainer for me might not be the comfortable trainer for you, so they may be explaining it in a different way. So you have to always go with the trainer like as Jithin said, who is very comfortable in explaining these things and you are able to understand, because the ways by which they are explaining these things might be totally different and you don't want to get stuck up in my trainer. So just do the research, whatever the whoever is comfortable, whichever the sites is working, just go ahead and do it.
So I will say start with Medium or YouTube. If you are a visual learner, maybe YouTube. If you are a reader, then Medium, and then maybe Udemy also. So I have purchased a couple of Udemy courses. There are so many excellent instructors, and then if you are learning about Kubernetes, then you can actually go to Udemy and see very highly rated. I don't want to name one or two here because there are so many other things. So maybe you can DM me or something, like I can share some of the things I like, but you might not like it. Depends on the person's choice, right? So
Jiten. Anybody else? Anyone has any question? We will wind up today sharp by 9:20, 9:25. I have a hard stop at 9:30. So anybody has any questions, feel free to come to the speaker panel, ask the questions, because I have a lot of questions to ask, which will help everyone to um, uh, get understand. So Jitin, again, next question is going to be a bit controversial. Try to answer it diplomatically. How much does the cloud engineers get paid in Canada? Just a round figure compared to the developers, because just wanted to uh, do the comparison. Do not give the exact numbers or anything. Just a round figure.
see, again, as I told, right, I don't think the cloud aspect alone pays you a hell lot extra money. If you are a developer, if you are a good developer, you can earn the same amount without any cloud uh, bells and whistles. So I think you should be you have opportunity to earn uh, right from 70 to 100 to 150 to 200. So I know people working in all these salary bands. So I don't know there is a right answer to that. So, but yeah,
Yep.
so
No, I
yeah.
understand. No, I totally understand, because that is one of the most commonly asked question here. It's not about the cloud. How much I can get paid for one particular job? I usually tell them, do your own evaluation, because I see project managers or project coordinators working as low as $30 an hour, and a project manager who is working at around $160 an hour. So that's a wide range of these things. Yeah, of course, their experience matters, but the titles doesn't give you the salary. It is all about your experience, the way you sell yourself. All these things actually matters.
Yeah, one thing I want to add, right? So before you start a business, you will see how much you can scale, right? So if you are selling something that only two people in a country buy, then there is no scope for that. But one thing I can tell you is, whatever, whether you are a cloud developer or DevOps guy or SRE guy, any role you do, if you are good at it, sky is the limit. So there is no scalability limit on these skill sets, because there are companies who will be paying any amount that you quote, right? So we know there are people working in Silicon Valley with 1 million plus package, including the shares. So same thing, right? So if you learn this, if you are very good at it, there will be companies who are ready to pay whatever you ask, right? So I don't think there is any upper limit if you have good skills.
Sure. Thanks, Ethan. Let's move to Shika.
Hi everyone. Hi, Jitin and Sudhir. Thanks, Sudhir, for this session. Jitin, I have one. It's a very short question. How crucial are the certifications? Because time and time we have been, attending the sessions that Sudhir said that we organize every now and then, and we talk about the importance of the skill, not just the certification. I know it's important when we talk about cloud, but I just want to hear from you, like, what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, so here is the thing, right? So this is true even with non-cloud thing. Right? There is something called when there is a like Java certification, a Sun certification. So I so there are so many people who fakes a certification, right? Or maybe who will just learn the dumps and then you just pass the certification. So here's the thing, right? If you really know the core concept and then you have a certification, definitely it's an added advantage. So but the other important aspect is, in the process of taking the certification, right, you will learn more. So that will actually help you more than the title of the certification. So
Mm-hmm.
certification will definitely, the only thing I can say is that I know so many companies who will give a chance to you
Mm-hmm.
irrespective whether you have certification or not. But the problem is when there are 200 application for a single post, how will you do
Mm-hmm.
the initial filtering? You cannot give a chance for 200 people because the people who are interviewing, they are also working, right? They have limited time slots. So then those initial levels, if you are 6x certified, you have six certifications. Another
Mm-hmm.
person is no certification. Maybe in the initial round, the person with 6x might get a chance to showcase their skills. I don't think just because you have a certification, you perform very, very, very bad in the interview, and people think that you cannot do the job. I don't think just because of the certification they will say, okay, whatever, let's give the job. I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
But anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
So my answer is focus on learning the skill. After
Yeah.
you learn the skill, if you have time, then focus on
Mm-hmm.
certification. But if you learn the
Okay.
certification, the learning that comes along with the certification will help more than the actual certification. Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Shiga. So let's move on to Vivek. Vivek, you are on mute. You may have to unmute.
Hi, Jitin. Hello, everyone.
hi.
My question is, how do I know more about the companies which are the cloud service providers in Ontario? So basically, in the past, I've worked with companies like NetApp, Dell, which were mostly storage application providers, and I've worked a lot on virtualization. So I'm trying to see if I can get similar opportunities. When I was trying few years back, I did not find much.
See, okay, it depends on what type of company, right? So there are companies who are service level companies, right? So they will be more focused on using the existing cloud solution and then finding solving a problem for the client. So if you are focusing on those companies, you will get a chance to work on the cloud, but you will use the existing cloud capability or services to solve the problem of the client. So those are that set of companies.
Right.
Then
I'm
there are
looking at more of a product-based
correct,
companies.
correct. So then
Yeah.
there are companies like, as you told, NetApp, Dell. Any product company today offers a cloud version. Otherwise, they cannot survive, right? So
Correct.
um, I have worked in previously, like worked in other companies where they were offering cloud and non-cloud version of it, and then there was a huge demand for cloud, and even the services for which there is no cloud version available, they actually moved quickly to the cloud because otherwise they will lose the customer, right? So even if you're
Yeah.
offering a very good service, it's like Nokia, right? They unfortunately did not move to Android as quick as possible, and then they have to let go the market share. So same thing, right? So if you are a service provider, then you will have a cloud version of your service provider. I am not, I don't know any company, especially on the service sector, the main, there will be a number of companies who don't have a cloud version. But if your business makes sense, for example, if you are offering storage, you don't offer a cloud version, good luck finding, expanding or scaling the company, right? I think most of the major services have a cloud version.
Right. So when I migrated to Canada, it was more, they were just catching up with Amazon and all this,
Okay.
right? So now all of them have moved into cloud. But
Right,
I'm
right.
trying to find product companies here. I don't find many of them, uh,
Mhm.
especially in the engineering roles, right? In the sales, marketing, yes, they do have some presence. Do
Yeah,
you have any
many,
exposure?
many, but many companies, US companies, have a subsidiary here, right? So you talk about NetApp, Dell, so maybe Oracle or whoever, right? Whoever is offering cloud services other than AWS and Google and Azure, obviously, they will have some, like, see if they have a subsidiary office here, right? So um, I believe that I also find it very difficult to find a company who is only present in Canada and offering these kind of roles. Most of the
Yeah,
roles I find is they will be in based on US but opened an
US.
office here. So yeah.
Right. And follow-up question. So you talked about for a BA, right? So for project manager kind of roles, for cloud, for example, AWS, right? So I saw AWS Cloud Practitioner, which is a
Mhm.
very high level. It's like a 2 day
Yes, yes.
kind of
Yeah.
a.
Yeah.
So what is good for a project managers? What is good enough? Is Cloud
Yeah,
Practitioner too basic?
yeah, right. So See, yeah, cloud practitioner basic is the way to go. Even if you are program management, even if you are non-technical, I don't know how you do the because different program managers and different companies have different roles for program managers. For example, let's say a program manager who manages the team and the developers are reporting program manager. You know what? We are blocked because the URL is not working, right? So one of the roles of program, and I don't know your organization, like my organization, the program managers really help us to get unblocked, set up meeting with other teams and get us unblocked. So if you like, most of the times developers will be talking the technical language, right? So if you have these terms familiar, I think it will help you even after as a program manager to understand the context, and you know that, oh, okay, maybe let me talk to SRE, or let me talk to networking, okay, let me talk to this team, so on and so forth. And let's say you are doing a quarterly planning or half yearly planning, right? So uh, ideally the developer or maybe architect will call for dependency. Okay, does it have dependency on SRE? Do you need, you are spinning off new services, right? Does it have a dependency on networking? You need to open a new URL. So even at a high level, even before you reach to architect or a level, a very high level, you may be able to envision that, okay, this project have dependency on SRE team, SRO team, or maybe a network team or whatever, right? So
Right.
I think it will actually help you if you invest time on cloud practitioner. I think it will be helpful for you.
Yeah, cloud practitioner is definitely yes, but do we need to do beyond that, or is that good enough and as a
Uh,
expectation?
yeah, so after that, I think instead of focusing on yeah, if you're really invested, you can also do solution architect. But instead of that, I will say, once you are at the cloud practitioner level, I think it's better to read engineering blocks and things. And once you read and get a knowledge, if you want to dive deep on something, yes, you can do solution architect or anything, maybe solution architect associate or anything. But it depends on your role, right? What your role demand, maybe it's an overkill for your role, I don't know. Depends on
Mhm.
how technical you are on your company, right? Your
Right.
expectation, yeah.
And
So
also, if we have done a Salesforce DevOps, how different is it some of this cloud DevOps, whether it's AWS or Terraforms?
what is the question? Sorry, I did not get that.
If you have worked on Salesforce DevOps, Salesforce it's own kind of cloud. So if you have worked on that, how different is AWS DevOps or Terraform DevOps?
I never worked on Salesforce, but I
Hmm.
believe the DevOps principles might apply. But if you want to configure something on Salesforce, it might be entirely different. So I don't know how different is that from the general DevOps principles. So I don't know answer to that
All
question.
right, all
Yeah.
right. Thanks. And I really like your analogy of comparing the driving to
Mm.
the platforms. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can wind up because I have a hard stop today at 9:30. Or we usually extend till 10, but
I think there is
today I have a hard stop.
one more hand, Sudhir. May I?
Oh, that is Sajid. Yep, Sajid. Hey,
Quick,
Sajid. Quick.
thank you, Sudhir. Quick question to Jitin. 2020, there was a huge demand for cloud practitioners, and there were a lot of migration projects. Small, mid-size, especially manufacturing mid-size companies were all looking at moving to cloud. I don't see that many cloud opportunities right now in 2023, 2024. Based on your experience and expertise, any trend changes that you're seeing this year? Is there going to be an uptake, or those projects are in limbo? Any thoughts on that?
See, now all the companies who migrated to the cloud, right? They want the resources to continue the cloud journey, right? So whatever skills you learn, whatever the cloud expertise you have, are needed in going forward, right? Now they are exclusively on cloud. So, and plus, as I told you earlier, many companies are on cloud, but they are not actually taken the full potential of the cloud, like moving to a cloud native platform. So many companies first move to a cloud, lift and shift, then they evolve into cloud native architecture. So there are companies who does the journey of moving to cloud and then take the journey of moving from a cloud hosted to a cloud native architecture. That's also another silent thing happening across a company, but it might not be called as a fancy moving to cloud thing because it's different. So there are things happening in many companies moving to cloud native architecture and evolving.
Okay. Are companies fine to look at, let's say they have worked on Azure, and let's say the cloud architecture is AWS. Would companies look at those transferable skills, or they say that no, let us, because the supply is more, will they say that let's look at an AWS guy rather than looking at an Azure guy who would have a learning curve?
Or depends on, right? If you are expecting a plug and play resource who start the next day, maybe you will prefer the same cloud. But if there are companies who especially look for multi-cloud expert, because they don't want to vendor lock in. So they want to build a multi-cloud, or they want to migrate to a cloud agnostic platform. So they will hire people who have the cloud agnostic skills. So that is where the certification like CNCF. So if you don't know CNCF, there's a cloud native foundation. That's a vendor agnostic technologies, and they have certification. So you can check cncf.io, cloud native foundation. They have certification. You can take the certification. Which is cloud agnostic. Then you can apply anywhere for cloud agnostic thing.
Thank you, Jitin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have to wind up. Thank you, Jitin, for accepting the invite and joining the session and sharing all these valuable information. Those who joined late, if you want to listen to the first part, this session is recorded and it will be available in YouTube. You can follow the channel. So see you next week. It is going to be mostly meetup of IT professionals here in Canada. I'll share the information in our groups. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you all. Bye.
Have a good night.
Just a tip for everyone. So there, all those who were in the session, if you had some insight from this program, just do a short post and tag Jitin. You will be able to leverage his network too. So that is something that will definitely help you.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Sajid.